Hi, Mickey.
Hi, Anna.
We released a song. It's happened.
We did. It's called Stand Up.
Stand Up. Syzygal is out. Syzygal is ready. We have been working on this project now for a couple of years, and it's just crazy that it's finally out. COVID has chopped us into pieces, as it has everybody, and so thank you guys for listening. If you got a chance to listen to the track, we'd love your feedback, and we hope that you like it. We wanted to take a moment to kind of introduce the band, and also just talk a little bit about Stand Up in particular, and a little bit about our process, because some of you guys might want to know, some of you guys might not. Either way, stay tuned if you will. So do you want to talk about the band a little bit and who we are, Mickey? And
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So the band is you, Anna, on vocals, and I play synthesizer. I'm Mickey, and Darren Heitz on drums. And we have a few songs on the album that also have a special guest guitarist, Justin Canavan, as well. And we even have one song that Rick Barnes plays guitar on as well.
And Syzygal, so we started the band a couple years ago, and our name, for those of you that are curious, is a derivative of the word syzygy, which basically is the alignment, which happens every once in a while, of the sun, the moon, and the earth. And since there are three of us, it seemed only so appropriate. And we're very excited to be sharing this work with you.
So some of the places that you can go to kind of engage with the music and the videos. So we have a video for Stand Up that's on YouTube that you can see there. Our website is www.syzygalmusic.com. Should probably spell that for people. So it's SYZYGAL music.com. We have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram page as well. So lots of places to find our music, or all of the singles that are being released are going to be available on all of the different streaming platforms. So whichever one you like the best or you use, you can find our music there. We're going to be releasing the full-length album, Right Path, on February 2nd, 2022.
22.
Correct, yes.
Yeah. And then we are going to be, for moving forward, we're going to be releasing a track every Thursday. So keep an eye out every Thursday for, a new track from the record.
We went into the studio for the first time in 2019.
And it's 2021, almost 2022.
It is. It's been a long journey to get this album completed.
Yeah. I remember when I was 2020, when I was on a trip with my family, and we were talking, it was like right at the beginning of COVID. We were talking on the phone about like because we were so excited to kind of get things moving at that point, but obviously a huge halt happened. And, but here we are, and finally this music is being released. So we thought it might be kind of cool to share a little bit about our journey, and in particular share a little bit about how these songs and Stand Up kind of came about.
Sure.
There is quite a story behind the whole process, and behind each song. And, with the way that we've been working, one of the cool things is that Mickey and I have really never been in the studio or like writing together. We're always, Mickey, you live in Ohio.
Yep, I'm in Columbus, and you're in Chicago.
I'm in Chicago.
Yeah. And that makes it a little bit difficult to be in the same room writing together.
It makes it difficult, but it also has been really exciting and fun, because I think one of the things that got us excited, from the get-go one, we realized that we really like working together, and we like the way that each other thinks, and the way that sort of we express our creativity. And so in particular, through 2020 gave us an opportunity to use this as a tool to stay sane.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It actually kind of works out well. I've always had trouble writing with other people in the same space. I don't know. I don't know what it is about it. But I've always really enjoyed being alone when I write, and I find I'm much more productive that way. And maybe not self-conscious. Maybe there's something about being in the same room that kind of takes me out of the moment.
For sure. And the pressure to have to perform something,
Sure.
Versus sitting with it and letting it brew and allowing yourself the freedom to make dumb or bad choices and then fixing them.
Sure.
Without anyone ever knowing.
Yeah. Well, I remember the first thing that I wrote for stand up, actually.
Okay.
And it was the bass part in the first part of the song. And I remember writing, what I do is I'll put like a scratch drum track down, just to like, I'll come up with like a tempo. I'm like, maybe should be this tempo, and I'll just put like a kick drum and a snare drum down, maybe a hi-hat, just as like a scratch drum track, so I can almost like improvise over top of it. And I was messing around with one of the software synthesizers that I use, and just toggling through bass sounds, and I found this one that I was like, oh wow, that really feels good.
Carrot in my head.
And it was like one of those ones where you just like hold it down, and it like has enough movement that like you just like can hold it, and it makes this awesome sound. And I like hit it once, and then I let go, but like as the drum beat was going, and then there was like this empty space after it, I was like, oh wow, that's new, that's something. And I don't know, when I used to write for Future Rock, I had this bad habit of like overstuffing all of the songs with so many parts, and like there wasn't, this was maybe part of just like being immature as a writer, but I wasn't very good at creating space or other parts to kind of like fit together. So things would be really saturated. And the thing about stand up that I just fell in love with immediately with that part was like how much space there is. That bass note, at least in the first part of the song, there's way more empty space as far as like the bass goes than actual bass tone.
Right. Yeah, it's nice to hear you talk about it actually, on this level. So you wrote, this was one of the, what year was that? 2019, yeah, or 20?
No, so stand up was written in January of 2020.
Okay.
In fact, there was three of our songs were written in January of 2020. It was Twitchy and Stand Up and Right Path. So there was, and that was,
yeah.
I think there had been like some newspaper articles about this thing going on.
Yeah.
But
because we didn't know till March.
Till March that it became the shutdown happened. So this was pre-shutdown.
But I probably didn't start writing the lyrics until post-shutdown, I think.
That's possible. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know for sure when the lyrics were written.
Yeah. The only reason I say that is because of the actual lyrics themselves, like where they're coming from. And I think one of my favorite parts of this process with you is that, I get this like beat, I get this song structure sent over to me, and it's just this raw space, besides the title, that's all you give me, which in the beginning,
first I was actually making the title, and then I stopped doing that.
You stopped doing that because I would just basically work with those and try to make the song about that.
Yeah.
Which was nice, and stand up I think was one of those things.
It was.
But the way that it worked for me in my brain is that, these beats just kind of like ended up just highlighting feelings. And so instead, with my band and with, you know, when I write for myself on my guitar, I have to create the whole mood and latch onto those kinds of things, whereas with this process, I can literally just stop and allow this music to highlight whatever is, you know, most important in that moment, or whatever, you know, I'm documenting as a human in that moment. And that's why I say it must have been after March, because stand up, you know, is not necessarily about, you know, sort of like a political or any kind of thing like that, even though it could potentially, you know, maybe sound like that a little bit, but it's about taking yourself and taking your identity and your space and reclaiming it. Having an opportunity to witness your own patterns, which is, I think, what this pandemic kind of did for us, is who are we? How are we living, and what do we want to change? And how do we go about making that change? And ultimately, we can't make a change unless we acknowledge the fact that there's anything the matter, you know?
It's so, and one of the fun things for me is, you know, well, it actually it makes it easier for me to write, knowing that you're going to be adding vocals to it. I don't feel pressure to like have to write the melody that's like the hook of the song. I just know that you're going to be doing that, right? And one of the fun things for me is I will still maybe like in my head hear what I think you might do with the vocals, and it never is what you do. You always surprise me every time. When I first get that, you send me the track for the first time with your vocals on it for every track. It's always like such a great surprise. It's like, oh wow, never would have thought to do that.
And that's the beauty of collaboration, huh?
Absolutely.
I always told myself that truly the definition of success to me is when you start collaborating, when people reach out and want to work with you. And so in that sense, thank you.
Well, I mean, I have to say, I think that the songs that we've written together, at least for me, it's helped to take my songwriting to like another level, to have someone to collaborate with and have a different spin on what it is that, you know, like what my biases are, what I typically do for songwriting.
Yeah.
It's also fun, like, sorry to talk over you, but you know, sometimes you'll send me back the vocals and then I'll chop them up a little bit and like I'll actually kind of rearrange stuff. And so then it really truly is a collaboration.
Yeah, well, I think especially in the beginning, because this was such a new format for me too, is instead of just kind of figuring out the whole structure of the song myself, you know, kind of working with you on it. But I would do these parts, and sometimes I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this part super differently, and we're probably gonna cut one of them out. But most of the time, you end up keeping both, and so it kind of, you know, and even with your writing and how I think there's like really fun tempo changes and things like that happened or that happen every time they continue to, I think it just pushes these songs to places that we, you know, I don't think we'd think about doing on our own, or even if we, you know, thought about them at all.
You know, another thing I was going to mention is, you know, it was one thing to like have the demo version that we work on together, but then if you listen to the demo version of Stand Up or really any of the songs versus the finished, the version on the album, it's pretty stark. The magic that happened in the studio with Rick at Rax Tracks, just, you know, first of all, with the work that you did with him, with the vocal harmonies, is just, you would send me you would go in for these vocal sessions and then you'd send me the track. I'd be like, that's a different song almost.
Yeah. And this has been a really important part of the process for me, because again, just like we feel comfortable with each other working in this way, finding Rick and having Rick as somebody that I've been working with for quite some time, has allowed us to develop a relationship that is really important when being vulnerably creative or creatively vulnerable or whatever. And this particular project, unlike my personal project, has allowed our dynamic to sort of like reach new places. So mad kudos to Mr. Rick Barnes.
No, I don't think you were there when we did the I can't remember if you were for the guitar recording session that we did with
Or a
Justin.
couple of or just like I came at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, that was that was a surreal experience for me. So I never met Justin before walking into the studio that day. He had never met me. And I think Rick had sent him the tracks that we wanted to have him play on. But and maybe I'm wrong, but like my impression was he was like off the cuff figuring it out during the session. And they had the setup that they did with getting the guitar tone that they wanted, and he was kind of Rick and Justin were like kind of going back and forth on figuring that out. And then they would be like, well, what are you thinking here? And I'd just say something off the cuff, and then like Justin would like take one, just nail it. Yeah.
Having him on this project sort of again elevates. I feel like everyone that sort of has brought their magic to this whole project has helped us elevate, and we hope that you guys feel the same way. Or
well, we can't forget to mention Darren as well, because he also is on the song.
Who's Darren? No, of course. I mean I can't wait for us to play live. I think that's really important for us. And
one of the things I was going to tell you about my, when I'm writing these songs, and like stand up in particular, is sometimes what I'll do is close my eyes and like visualize playing the song in a big open field at like a music festival with like lots of people there, and like I can actually see the lights and the specific colors. For some reason, green was like a color that figured really prominently for stand up. I don't know why. But like actually like having that visualization of what it would be like live actually helps the songwriting process for me.
Yeah. I think it's something I use as well with the lyrics, Mickey, because for me with lyrics, and I'm sure it's the same way for you, but it's like, what can connect us, right? What connects us? And words are so powerful. Music is the forefront. Then there's these mantras sometimes, or these words that sort of help, kind of get a message across. And visualizing, especially as an artist, visualizing the idea of a lot of people taking these words in and getting lost in them, or taking the music in and getting lost in it, that's magic. That's where some really special things happen. So I think I do the same thing.
We do have plans to play live shows next year. Nothing is booked yet, but stay tuned, and we will let you know as soon as we know when you can see us live.